Have you ever just, stopped to think about what's going on inside you right now? This whole hidden network working nonstop, keeping everything running.
It's quite something, isn't it? Silent, mostly.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. Your cardiovascular system.
Right.
It's like your body's internal plumbing, its transport system, its powerhouse, all in one.
Pretty vital combination.
Absolutely. We've been looking at some really detailed sources, anatomical diagrams, research papers showing arteries, veins, the heart, even how it all works before we're even born.
Yeah, some fascinating material there.
And our goal here is to sort of pull out the key pieces, make sense of the complex bits, and, well, give you a shortcut to understanding this system that's so fundamental to, well, you.
It's a system of incredible elegance and complexity, really, and getting a handle on the components and how they interact is, I think, crucial to appreciating just how vital it is.
Okay, let's unpack this then. To start, what exactly are we talking about with the cardiovascular system? What does it, do? It sounds like more than just a pump and pipes.
Oh, definitely more. So basically, you've got three core parts. The heart, that's your pump. Then the blood vessels, think arteries, veins, capillaries, that's the network of pipes, and of course the blood flowing through it all.
Right.
And its main jobs, well, it's the ultimate delivery service, transporting oxygen, nutrients, hormones to every single cell. But it also hauls away the waste products, like carbon dioxide. Plus, it's involved in fighting off infections and even keeping your body temperature stable.
The ultimate logistics network. I like that. It really makes you think. Any little glitch in that delivery.
Exactly. It impacts everything. Every single process in your body, from getting energy to just staying warm, relies on the system working smoothly. It's fundamental. No other way to put it.
Okay, so heart's the pump, vessels are the pipes. Let's talk about the actual, the stuff in the pipes. Blood. What's it made of?
Right, blood. It's technically a fluid connective tissue, which is interesting in itself. Our sources break it down nicely. You have the mature red blood cells, or RBCs. And here's a cool fact. They're the only blood cells that don't have a nucleus when they're mature.
Really? No nucleus. Why is that?
Well, it's all about maximizing space. Without a nucleus, there's more room inside the cell to pack in hemoglobin, the protein that actually carries the oxygen. It's a specialization for efficiency.
Huh. Clever design. What else is in there?
Then you've got the leukocytes, or white blood cells. Think of them as your body's security force. Neutrophils are the most common type you'd find circulating. And finally, there's plasma, that's the liquid part, the matrix, everything else floats in. It carries nutrients, hormones, waste, all sorts of things.
Fascinating. Okay, let's move to the engine itself, the heart. Our material calls it the first organ in the body to start functioning. That's pretty incredible. Tell us about its structure, where it sits.
It is incredible. It gets going so early in development. Position-wise, it sits in your chest, in the thorax, nestled between the lungs, mostly a bit to the left. Structurally, it's a four-chambered marvel. You've got the right atrium getting the used deoxygenated blood back from the body.
Yeah.
Then it goes to the right ventricle, which pumps it to the lungs. Then the oxygenated blood comes back to the left atrium. And finally, the powerhouse left ventricle pumps that fresh oxygenated blood out to the entire body via the aorta.
A very specific path.
Very specific, very efficient. And crucial to the heart itself are the coronary arteries. These feed the heart muscle itself. They're called functional end arteries because, well, there's no backup supply. If they get blocked, that part of the heart muscle is in trouble.
Right, that's a heart attack.
Exactly. And here's another unique thing about them. Unlike almost all other arteries that fill when the heart contracts, systole, the coronaries fill when the heart muscle relaxes, diastole.
That seems backwards. Why?
It's actually quite clever. When the heart muscle contracts really hard during systole, it would actually squeeze the coronary arteries running through it, potentially cutting off their own blood supply. So they fill during diastole when the muscle is relaxed, ensuring they get the oxygen they need to keep pumping.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense. But how does the heart know when to pump? Does it have its own timer?
It essentially does. It has its own intrinsic electrical system. The diagrams show the SA node, often called the pacemaker, which generates the initial impulse. Then there are pathways, like the AV bundle branch, that conduct that signal through the heart muscle, coordinating the contraction. It's a self-contained electrical marvel.
Amazing. Okay, let's zoom out now to the network, the vessels. We've got arteries and veins, and the diagrams show they look quite different. What are the key differences?
Big differences, yeah, and they're all about function. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, usually under high pressure. So they have thick muscular walls, they're less elastic than veins generally, and their internal channel, the lumen, is usually smaller but stays open, patent.
Built tough.
Exactly. The middle layer, the tunica media, is thicker than the outer layer, and generally no valves inside arteries.
And didn't Aristotle think they carried air? I saw that in the notes.
Yes. Because they're often empty after death, he apparently thought they were air pipes. Shows how far we've come.
Definitely. So what about veins?
Veins are the return journey, carrying blood towards the heart. The pressure is much lower, so they have thinner walls, less muscle, but they're more elastic. Their lumen is larger and can actually collapse.
But flexible.
Very flexible. And crucially, most veins have valves inside them. These are essential to prevent blood from flowing backwards, especially in your limbs working against gravity.
Okay. That makes sense.
In fact, veins are sometimes called capacitance vessels because they can stretch and hold a lot of blood, acting like a reservoir. Oh, and larger veins even have their own tiny blood vessels supplying their walls, called the vasa vasorum.
Wow. Vessels supplying vessels.
Yeah.
Okay, so arteries are the high-pressure supply lines, veins are the lower-pressure, flexible return lines with valves. Where do they actually connect? Where does the exchange happen?
That's where the capillaries and sinusoids come in. They bridge the gap between the smallest arteries, arterioles, and the smallest veins, venules. Capillaries are tiny, truly microscopic, maybe 5 to 8 micrometers wide.
Just enough for red blood cells to squeeze through single file.
Pretty much. Their walls are incredibly thin, just a single layer of endothelial cells, sometimes with tiny pores, fenestrations. This thinness is perfect for rapid exchange of oxygen, CO2, nutrients, waste, right between the blood and the tissues.
The business end of the system.
Absolutely. Sinusoids are similar in function, linking arterioles and venules, but they're much wider, maybe 30-40 micrometers, more irregular in shape, and their walls are even more porous, sometimes incomplete. You find these in places like the liver and spleen where you need slower blood flow and maybe even cells moving in and out.
It's just staggering to think about the scale. Our notes said if you laid all the capillaries end to end, it's something like 60,000 miles long.
It's an incredible number, isn't it? Wraps around the Earth 2.5 times, just shows the sheer density of this network reaching every part of your body.
Mind-boggling.
And just briefly, all these vessels, arteries, veins, even capillaries to some extent, have layers, typically 3. The tunica intima, the smooth inner lining, the tunica media, the middle muscular layer, and the tunica adventitia, the outer protective layer. The thickness of these layers varies a lot between arteries and veins, reflecting their different jobs.
Okay. Now, because arteries are under pressure from the heart, we can actually feel that pulse, right? Our sources list a bunch of places. What are the key spots doctors check and why?
Yes, feeling the pulse gives a quick window into heart rate, rhythm, and circulation. Key spots include the carotid artery in the neck. It's often the most reliable one to find if someone's in shock or cardiac arrest.
Right.
The brachial artery inside the elbow. That's the one usually used when taking blood pressure with the cuff.
Okay. The radial artery on the thumb side of your wrist, probably the most common one people check for just rate and rhythm. Then further down, you have the femoral artery in the groin, sometimes used for access like venipuncture nearby.
And in the legs?
Yep. The pulpitule behind the knee and then down in the foot, the posterior tibial pulse behind the inner ankle bone, and the dorsalis pedis on the top of the foot. Checking these lower pulses is really important for assessing blood flow to the feet.
Got it. Useful landmarks. Now, beyond the main circulation loop, heart to body, heart to lungs, the material mentions some special types of circulation. This idea of portal circulation sounds interesting. What's different about that?
Portal circulation is a really neat setup. It basically means blood flows through 2 sets of capillaries before it goes back to the heart. Normally, it's just artery, capillary bed, vein, heart.
So like a detour?
Exactly, a detour with a purpose. The classic example is the hepatic portal system. Blood from your stomach, intestines, spleen, pancreas doesn't go straight back to the heart. It first goes through the portal vein to the liver. Why the liver first?
For processing. The liver filters the blood, removes toxins, processes nutrients absorbed from your food before that blood mixes with the general circulation. It's like a quality control step.
Smart. Are there others?
Yes. There's a similar setup in the kidneys, the renal portal system involving the filtering units, and also between the brain's hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, the hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system, which is crucial for hormone transport and control.
So these portal systems are like specialized processing loops.
Okay.
But what if the body needs a shortcut, like to bypass an area, or if there's a blockage? Is there a backup plan?
There often is. That's where things called arteriovenous anastomoses, or AV shunts, come in. These are direct connections, like little bypass channels linking an arteriole directly to a venule, skipping the capillary bed entirely.
Skipping the exchange part. Why?
Several reasons. One big one is providing collateral circulation. If a main artery gets blocked, sometimes these shunts can open up and provide an alternative route for blood to reach the tissues downstream, potentially preventing damage or death of that tissue, like a detour route around a traffic jam.
Ah, a backup route. Clever.
Very. They can also play a role in temperature regulation by diverting blood flow either towards the skin capillaries to lose heat or away from them via the shunt to conserve heat. There's often a little muscular sphincter controlling whether the shunt is open or closed.
Okay, the body has all these amazing adaptations, and maybe the most incredible is how this all works before we're born. Fetal circulation sounds completely different. How did that work?
It's truly a masterpiece of adaptation. The key difference is the fetus isn't using its lungs for oxygen yet, and its liver isn't fully processing things either. All the exchange happens via the placenta with the mother.
So the placenta is like the fetal lungs and liver.
In terms of function for exchange, yes. Oxygenated, nutrient-rich blood comes from the placenta to the fetus through the umbilical vein. Then, deoxygenated blood with waste goes back to the placenta through 2 umbilical arteries.
Okay, so that's the supply line. But what about bypassing the lungs and liver?
Right, there are special shunts for that. To bypass the liver, much of the oxygenated blood from the umbilical vein flows through the ductus venosus, which connects directly to the major vein going back to the heart, the inferior vena cava.
Skipping the liver processing.
Exactly. And to bypass the lungs, there are 2 main pathways. First, the foramen oval, which is literally a hole between the right and left atria of the heart. A lot of the blood just goes straight across, avoiding the right ventricle and the pulmonary circuit.
A shortcut inside the heart itself.
Yep. And second, the ductus arteriosus, which is a vessel connecting the pulmonary artery directly to the aorta. So any blood that does get pumped out by the right ventricle towards the lungs mostly gets shunted over to the aorta and out to the body, again, bypassing the non-functional lungs.
Wow. So it's all about these clever bypasses. What happens when the baby is born and, takes that first breath? Do these shunts just stay open?
No, that first breath triggers dramatic changes. The pressure changes in the heart and lungs. Oxygen levels shoot up in the baby's blood. This causes these shunts to start closing off, usually quite rapidly.
Amazing. So they become
remnants. Ligaments mostly. The ductus venosus closes and becomes the ligamentum venosum in the liver. The foramen oval seals shut, leaving a little depression called the fossa ovalis in the atrial wall. The ductus arteriosus closes and becomes the ligamentum arteriosum. Even the umbilical vessels close off and become ligaments. It's an incredible swift transition to the adult circulatory pattern.
just phenomenal. We've covered so much ground here, from the tiniest vessels to these fetal adaptations. To wrap things up, let's hit some of those golden nuggets, the really striking facts from our sources.
Okay, yeah, some quick takeaways. First, remember the heart is the first organ to function, just underlines its importance.
Can't beat that.
The aorta is the body's largest artery. The inferior vena cava is the largest vein. Good benchmarks.
Okay.
The great saphenous vein in your leg is the longest vein. Trivia, but interesting.
Right.
The brachial artery is the go-to for blood pressure checks. The radial pulse is most commonly felt, but the carotid pulse is the most reliable in emergencies.
Good practical points.
Remember, all blood cells have a nucleus, except mature red blood cells. That's key.
The oxygen taxis.
Exactly. And the exceptions to the oxygen rule, all arteries carry oxygenated blood except pulmonary and umbilical arteries, and all veins carry deoxygenated blood except pulmonary and umbilical veins. Gotta remember those loops.
Crucial exceptions.
And finally, the arterioles, those tiny arteries just before the capillaries, are where most of the peripheral vascular resistance happens. They're key regulators of blood pressure.
Wow. Oh, what an absolutely incredible journey through the cardiovascular system. It really is a masterpiece, isn't it? From the micro-level capillaries to the fetal bypasses.
It really is. It showcases the body's efficiency, its adaptability, how all these intricate parts work together seamlessly, most of the time, without us even noticing.
And for you listening, we really hope this deep dive has maybe given you a new level of appreciation for that constant, quiet work going on inside you every single second.
And maybe it prompts a thought. Knowing how precise and interconnected this whole system is, how does that change the way you think about, say, daily habits or long-term health? What are the ripple effects when even one small part isn't working quite right? Something to consider.